Maco Station is well known for its relatively creepy background, and even more gruesome uprising. And in today's premiere episode of The Twitch, we're going to be presenting all the evidence, theories, and attempt to come up with some closure for this nearly 140-year-old case. Now, if you haven't heard about the Maco lights or the tragedy surrounding it, don't worry, I have the the evidence pulled up right in front of me. It all started way back in 1867, when the train conductor Joe Baldwin was having a normal night shift in rainy conditions. In the most widely accepted version of the incident, Joe was the only occupant of the rear car. Joe soon realized that the car had become detached from the main section of the locomotive. He saw another train coming down the tracks, so he quickly ran over to the rear platform and attempted to wave down the oncoming train to the best of his ability. But the strong weather conditions had different ideas, and the train did not stop. The rain was blocking the conductor's frightened message. The conductor quickly was decapitated in the collision, and some legends say the head was never found at the scene. After the crash had been cleaned up and the news had reached the paper, workers started to see a strange white light near where the collision happened on the tracks. Coined the Maco lights, these lights were supposedly Joe himself coming back to find his missing head, which is kind of weird because it was never found in the crash scene ever. The light was said to bob up and down at around 5 feet and would go over the person or would be gone in the blink of an eye. Some sites include red and green lights also being spotted along the tracks, having similar movement in the path to the supposed Maco lights. Some trains have been stopped mid-transit as the conductors would supposedly see a light and think it was a person walking across the tracks. Many photographers and other researchers tried to go on the tracks to capture it, and a really big theory was that the lights were actually cars passing by on a highway. But when photographers went down there to take long exposures, they realized that where the light was coming in from in front, and the highway lights were over here. Therefore, whatever it was not cars. This is where the story starts to take a really weirdly intriguing turn, when the public started to doubt the story about Joe Baldwin and its validity, and his still missing head. A researcher for a head newspaper company looked into the case and found that no man named Joe Baldwin had ever stepped into that town, and there was no accident ever in 1867. However, they did find a case of a Charles Baldwin who had been in an accident regarding a train that happened near where Maco Station will be built 5 years in the future. Baldwin was not decapitated, however. He was instead thrown aside and died of injuries. The locomotive was returning to its decoupled partner when it ran into the platform, causing Baldwin injuries that were too bad to walk off. He was blamed for the crash, in which he did not hang a lamp on the platform, which would indicate a block in the tracks. His blaming for the crash for not putting up a light may actually be what caused the story to stir up. All is explained, but is it really? Why would this seemingly unimportant case be brought up 8 years after it happened? Everything was summed up pretty cleanly. He messed up and he paid the price. But why did the theories and sightings start blowing up all of a sudden when nobody really cared about the accident in the first place? Remember, no one even knew about Charles Baldwin before the research further. What if the accident wasn't an accident? What if he did hang up the light, and just like he had done for all those other years on the job? What if the driver was discontent with Charles and thought that the simple accident may help his troubles? But if that's the case, it begs the question, why tweak the story and bring it back up 8 years later? Was there more to the case? That the murderer wanted to be discovered? A breadcrumb trail that led to a bigger secret than just a small town train incident? But if it wasn't some sort of cover-up, then what was the reason behind the story getting so big again? A story doesn't just come out of nowhere and get tweaked and then get really, really big. There's always a reason behind something like this, and me theorizing over it is It's been quite a thing. I've been doing it for a little while, and I still can't really think about why this story came up. It wasn't just a matter of the story got popular again. There was something about it. It was a cover-up or something along those lines. As for the light itself, it is supposedly Joe holding a lantern while he's looking for his head. It's not him itself that's glowing, it's actually the lantern that he was trying to stop the train with that's lighting the path, and that is what people are seeing. Another one of my theories is that Joe was the person that got decapitated. What if Charles was made up as a more tame version of the incident to cover up the fact that he was killed? What if the fact that he was decapitated led them on to the murderer, so they had to make a cover-up story with this guy named Charles where he died of injuries instead of getting decapitated? There are many ways to look at this story and twist and turn it into different things that could have happened, but let me warn you, don't lose your head over it.